I was rewatching part 6 the other day. I think I can now sum it up in about 5 words to any new viewers.
Only 5 words.
Oh yeah.
That's very bold of you.
Bisexuals versus the Catholic Church. Hey guys, welcome back to Bizarre Anime Vibes. I'm your host Jofu, and I'm here with
Drip Night.
And in today's episode, we're talking about JOJO's Bizarre Adventure. With the anime wrapping up recently, we finally got the conclusion of part 6 and more, the conclusion of the original universe. And so I thought now would be a great time to just talk about our thoughts on all of JOJO, which parts were, better than others, and which parts were, well, they exist.
I mean, with JOJO having literally 6 parts, and now with part 6, we finally had time to digest it, look at it again, and also with all the parts being on Netflix, it's easy to get to.
Oh, 100%. Thank God for Netflix. One thing they did right
was actually put it all somewhere we could watch it.
Yeah.
So, happy about that. Mm-hmm. I wish Netflix can, learn from the mistakes, but that's when we sure did episodes on that one.
And I think also JOJO Bizarre Adventure is just one of the most unique series when it comes to this type of stuff, because each part is kind of like a different genre to some extent. And so you're able to get something different from each part, and how it's handled and written and animated, I guess, since we're talking about the anime, is very important and different. So I think there's a lot we can talk about with just that in general. What about you?
With JOJO, it's such a unique series because you always hear like, oh my gosh, he's a JOJO fan. JOJO. Is that JOJO reference? Like, you hear that so much. I think that's when everything started.
Everything was JOJO reference.
I guess I still remember when I first started JOJO, and how immediately my attention was like taken away when I started part 3, because it was nothing like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, part 3 is definitely where most people, I would say, that's when the JOJO kicks in for them, like the JOJO hype and all that. Part 1 and 2, we'll talk about it in a sec, but like there's clearly a big gap between part 2 and the start of part 3, and the levels of energy they bring to the part.
And so to some people, be like, I think the quality was back then. Some people might say the quality is now. I'm like, I got my opinion about what I think is my favorite part and what's my least favorite part. So I think I want to hear what yours are. I want to hear everyone what yours are. And hopefully either we come to agreement, we disagree, or
whatever happens, let us know in the comments. You agree, disagree? We want to hear your opinions, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what these episodes are for. Without you guys, we're kind of just two guys talking to the boy. So with you guys commenting and giving us your opinions, we're able to see how you guys think, and if you agree with us, disagree with us, think we're smart, think we're dumb, anything, honestly. And yeah, we just love the support you guys have been showing us, so thank you again. Thank you very much. Without further ado, let's start. All right.
I guess...
Do you want to start at part 1, or do you want to start from part 6 and go down?
Part 6.
Part 6 and go down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible. Awful.
Since we're talking... This is the one part where I've read the manga, and this is the only part where I'm going to mention the manga. But the way it's handled between the anime was horrible. Shout out to Netflix. You ruined potentially one of the best parts of JOJO, in my opinion. Completely butchered it, split it up into 3 different parts, changed the animation style. Like, if you look at the part 1, part 6, part 1, and part 6 batch, I guess is what I'll say. Part 6 batch 1 and part 6 batch 3, in terms of the batch of episodes they put together.
Call it batch?
Like a batch of episodes. Like the first batch was 12 episodes.
Well, I guess it would be confusing to call it part 6, part 1.
Yeah, so I'm going to call them a batch of episodes. But if you look at the way I showed you the memes today, like literally 2 completely different.
Alright, one had like actual shading, the other one had like no shading.
And you can't even tell if you, what is it called? Because they were split up so much and no one went back and watched it, or most people didn't. So you wouldn't be able to tell. You just be like, oh yeah, I guess that's how it was. And
yeah.
If you look at the DVD releases for other parts, like part 4, part 5, part 3, a lot of time they look pretty poor. They're not fully detailed. The faces look kind of memeable and all that. But then they go back afterwards and change it up for the final release. That was just for initial release. Part 6, the final release is out and it looks the same. They didn't touch it up at all. They just kept it the same. And it's like,
for Netflix, you can't really do another release because it's already on Netflix.
But they can go and like change the stuff. I mean, I've heard of streaming about past doing that, like with, I know this is Disney Plus, but with WandaVision, the ending, they like changed a bit of the ending to fit with Multiverse of Madness. Like, it's the same shot, but like they edited out some trees and some birds and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it was a whole thing that people were freaking out. People found out, they're like, oh my god, they're changing because blah, 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 Wanda, and I just had to, it's coming to get, like, you know what I'm saying?
I've never seen Netflix ever pull that drastic of a change.
I mean,
They actually went in and changed.
it's small edits. It's not like you're changing the scene. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, a character's face won't be that detailed, and then you'll go back and redraw the face so it looks proper. So it literally looks the same, except it's just more like detailed or more like executed properly. Versus, was it like a lot of time they'll redraw the frames.
That's really well known for animations doing this. What did you Titan? Like Attack.
Yeah, that's a bang one.
Like absolutely. Like if you look at and Dragon Ball Super also being one. Like you look at the way it first came on national TV, or at least on the TV, and you look at the Blu-ray, two different products. Because one has the seal of approval, the finished product, while the other one is just we need it out there, time restraints, get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Part 6 definitely is a victim to the Netflix effect, I would say, because Netflix, I don't understand. They've handled so many other shows so well in the past, but like they just completely butchered Part 6 from even before the part even came out with the announcement of it. I don't know if you saw, but the way it was revealed was like in that JoJo live stream where you had to pay for it and all that during COVID, and then they reveal it, and then for months and months and months, all we had for Part 6 was one PNG of Jolene. You know which one I'm talking about, and that's everyone would just spam that. Anything Part 6 related, that was the only anime shot we had, was that one PNG of Jolene with the pose, and it's like it's a great pose. But like, oh my god, give us something. But for almost a year, we had nothing. They announced JoJo Part 6 at the start of 2022.
Netflix really thought that JoJo hype would be carried.
2022? No, 2021. Yeah, at the start of 2021.
That's all
they announced JoJo Part 6. We didn't get it till December 1st
of that year.
That actual anime. They announced, I think, spring or early summer. And then didn't release anything until like a month before. And it was like, oh yeah, it's coming out in December 1st. Just months. Just all we had was that one PNG.
So marketing obviously was...
Marketing was horrible. And then they dropped all 12. First of all, they said, oh yeah, Part 6 batch will release December 1st. And they didn't clarify 12 episodes. They didn't clarify, oh, it's the first half, the first arc. How many? And some people thought it was just going to be all Part 6 was dropping at the same time, opening night or opening day. It's like, they didn't clarify. And then a week before it was released, it got leaked. Some kid went through his like dad's Netflix account because he works at Netflix and revealed that it was 12 episodes. So it had to get leaked. And then also, what is it, with just the way it's formatted with 12 episodes dropped at once and then waiting almost a full year for the second batch and then actually waiting 1 year from the start of the first episode to the end of the last one.
I do blame Netflix for the shortcomings and the fact that they ruined it. Like they ruined
Part 6.
They ruined the hype. They ruined the experience.
I'm the JoJo fan.
However, though, looking at it after like a year of that whole incident happening and then ruining it, can you still say that JoJo Part 6 anime? Like, how would you rank it?
I think Netflix playing part definitely ruined it. I would say the part itself, because I am biased. I've read the manga. You know what I mean? So I know how good it could have been. But I'm saying, I think they butchered it and ruined it to make it one of the worst parts in terms of like viewing experience. I'm sure if you watched it today, you wouldn't know because you can just watch all 30, however many episodes and in order you want. But even that, I still like you still notice the animation differences. I think the reason why it was so different was because we had those giant gaps in the truth, so we didn't really acknowledge that. But today and you watch it in a set back to back, it's gonna be more visible.
Yeah.
They chose that hype.
I don't think Part 6 really benefits from like having as a continuous, like you can go from next episode to next episode to next episode. It is a benefit that like other parts may benefit from that, like from a bedroom experience, but Part 6, I feel I don't care. Like Food Fighters, I did not get attached to Food Fighters at all.
Characters, I think they had, I like Julie. I like Weather Report.
Okay.
I think Foo Fighters was great for what she was. Like, I think because her purpose was more comedic relief, it felt like at times. And so she did
like more of annoyance sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. Annoyance, comedic relief, they can fall under the same category. It's just,
if they're done well, then
it's just, how the viewer perspective sees it.
I guess.
Because, like, if you look at My Hero, Mineta is supposed to be comedic relief, but, like,
people just see him as like a dirty...
Yeah, he's an annoyance perv to most of the fan base, and then the other half sees him as comedic relief. So it's a small portion, I could say. So clearly, the way like a character is supposed to, I think Foo Fighters is comedic relief with the whole like water scene. Don't touch my water. and all that stuff. And just in general, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. Enemy turns friend, but also friend is dumb as what? It's like all the stands we could have got on Ursawa.
I mean, she has all power stay, but it just feels like she has used it as.
I think Poochie's a great villain, if not one of the best villains in JoJo.
Nah, that's.
We can get talk about that later.
We can. Yeah, that's a bit.
Anasui, I don't really like. I'll say that. If you hate Hermes, I hate you. It's a fault. Jotaro was great for all of 2 seconds. And Emporio could have been so much more annoying. So I'm happy he was not an annoyance. And he was an actually good character.
I was surprised he wasn't annoying.
Yeah, he was.
I was more annoyed again with Foo Fighters than I was with.
Well, you don't have to worry about this since Foo Fighters was in the end, like, half the part. Don't worry. But yeah, RIP to. But my point is, I think the characters are written pretty well. I enjoy them for what they are, and they're not the best, but they're not bad. You know what I mean?
When it comes to groups of like characters in a certain like show, for JoJo Part 6, I say that group entertaining,
and I think
did well,
and I think the story's also pretty well with the jail fight, and like I think it gets repetitive after a while, which is where it lacks. And the anime did a horrible job at making it so like boring. The setting, the colors were dull. They wouldn't draw characters in the background, just put those like silhouettes after a while, and just made the jail feel even more dead, which I get. It's a jail. It's not supposed to be lively.
It literally only felt alive when they left jail.
That's what I'm saying. But it still feels like it was just played down, because in the manga, obviously, it's the same thing. They're in a jail, but it still feels fresh, because when they go out to the swamplands where they fight Boo, you know what I mean? Like, new setting, when they're in the cafeteria, or when Jolene's in those fun lounge, or whatever it's called. The one where they're able to like watch TV and read stuff. It feels like you're exploring new parts. You're like, this is a new part, and you meet new characters, and it's like that, and the rules of the jail. And then the anime's just like, no, just put a gray tint over it, and we're set. It's like, what?
Yeah, okay. It didn't get exciting for me, JoJo. Okay, in the beginning, exciting.
Yeah, who's Jolene? She, Jotaro's daughter. Whoa, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
Yeah, Poochie. Who?
How? What? Black?
They just get nut on in a room. Like,
are those frogs showing from the sky?
The first 12 episodes, pretty good for what they were.
And then, the second part where they were still in jail, I didn't enjoy it. But when they left the jail, I was like, finally. And then we met, like, Dio's sons. I was like,
I will say this. Obviously, again, biased. The arc where she gets sent to where she has to fight all the stand users by herself, Jolene. Like, the second match, where, she gets sent at the end of...
to the solitary?
Yeah, the solitary, and she has to fight all, like, the different stand users. I love that part in the manga. I thought it was great, because it's, like, your main character up against, like, 4 or 5 different stand users that we've never seen, with the meteor dude. Remember Meteor Guy, right? The guy where it's like he summons meteors and disintegrate right before they hit him, and they will hit anything in its path. You remember him?
The fact that is so forgettable.
It was a really cool stand, in my opinion. It was, he would summon meteors, rocks from the sky, and they would come crashing down, and eventually to him. But right before they hit him, they would disintegrate every time. And so what happens, he would stand behind you, and then so the meteor would go through you.
Is it the old man?
No, the old man was the dragon, like, floating stand.
Oh.
And then there was also the weakest stand, the one that makes people pissed off.
Right.
And then there was also the stand with the little green dude who followed them around, who ate frogs and stuff. Like the little minion. That's why there were so many like cool stands we were seeing back to back to back. I thought they were actually interesting. So to see how the anime handled it, I was just like, what? And then also, like you said, it gets better as near the end. The end of part 6 is the best ending of all of JoJo.
The stakes were the highest it's ever
been.
The
actual ending itself. Easily the best ending, in my opinion. It's one of the most bittersweet, but like understandable, happy endings. Because it's the best outcome at that point. They were all dead.
It didn't feel impactful when all of them died.
Yeah, because
it shocked me.
Because you think, they're coming back, and that's why the ending itself felt so much more. Because you think, these characters aren't dead, they're going to come back. And then when you see them, it's like, they're back, but they're dead. Our Jolene, our Hermes, they're dead. Our Jotaro from part 3 is dead. You process that in the final scene.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the ending so much, because that's when the shock value hits. Because we know the trope of anime characters. oh, you kill off the whole main cast, they're coming back. Not this time. They are, but it's not the way you expected. And the ones you followed the entire story, the JOJO we followed since all the way to part 3, gone, dead. You can't bring him back.
And then Emporio just
Then
Emporio at the ending. Emporio just
and you want to talk about college trauma or how parenthood, like childhood, bro? He's gonna grow up to write a good book one day. Like that's all I'm gonna say. But overall, part 6.
You know what? I think that you want to do like in letters, kind of like
I'll say out of 10.
Out of 10?
Characters pretty good. Villain, one of the best. That goes with characters. Story, I think it's interesting. It just gets a bit slow at times. And in terms of ending, best. So for me, I give part 7 or 7. Whoa, wait a minute. I was gonna say I give part 6 7 out of 10.
6.5.
6.5. That's fair.
5.
All right.
Now to get to one of my favorite parts.
Oh well, this is where we switch because
we switch
your favorites and one of my least favorites.
Part 5.
Part 5.
Part 5.
I will say this: I love the characters. I love the characters so much. Of Part 5, Mista, Naran-chan, Bruno, amazing characters. The actual story, though, I'm sorry, it's just
young orphan kid trying to become the savior for his town.
The main character who feels like a side character most of the part.
The main character who's joining a gang who has to go from the lowest to the highest, from the peasant to the leader, from the poor to the rich.
I'll tell you this. Part 5 would have been 10 times better if Bruno was simply the main character. Like, simply, that's it. Giorno is the JoJo, but make Bruno the actual main character.
Bruno did carry most of the scenes he was in.
Literally, Bruno is just, he's objectively the better character. In my opinion, I shouldn't say objectively. In my opinion, Bruno is the better character. He has...
I like the chemistry with all of them.
I love the chemistry with all of them. But I wish it was written with Bruno as the MC and Giorno is, the JoJo. Same thing. It's not spoilers, but part 7, the main character is technically Johnny, but also it's Gyro. You know what I mean?
And they duo.
Yeah, and Gyro is not a JoJo. Johnny is. So it's like, you've done it in part 7. Well, part 5 would have been so much better. They're like, oh, Bruno's technically supposed to be like no, he's not a main character. It's Giorno the whole time. But Bruno would have been the better main character. And Giorno would have been like a side. Or like the same way how I say about Attack on Titan. I think Attack on Titan would have been 10 times better if it was Eren and Armin as the main characters. Because and it would have especially hit later on when you have the Jaegers versus, and that way you have the Jew because you've got 2 MCs. But because Eren's the main character, everyone's like, oh, we got to side with Eren because it's Eren, he's the MC. You make Armin the side MC.
No, I'm on Gene's side when it comes to... But hold up. We can't ignore him.
I almost said a big spoiler.
They could have...
All right.
You can say it by the end of the year.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I need to remember that Attack on Titan is not done despite it being promoted, being done for how many months?
Well,
that's an episode for another day.
An episode that you guys...
Final season, 3 years ago.
We had the first opening for the final season, part 1.
3 years ago. 3 years ago, by the way.
3 years. I remember we actually thought about it. We sat down. We were like, you know what? When the final episode comes out, we're going to sit down. We're going to enjoy it.
You said that.
I said it, and I hoped that was actually going to finish.
I was not going to. The ending with the AOT, and you know how I feel about that. But anyway, back to JoJo. Part 5.
Yes.
Characters, some of the best.
Yes.
Some of the best. I'll give you that.
Villain.
Granted, it's held back by Fugo. But like, besides Fugo, some of the best characters of all time.
Okay, what about... Because every JoJo had their JoJo memes.
Oh yeah. Well, no. If you want to go by that, Part 5 was great for the memes. Stare down, the lick, the... What is it called?
The Giorno theme.
Yeah, Giorno theme. Everything about Part 5, great, right? In terms of memes. But you can say about Part 4, Part 3, Part 2, and Part 1. Part 6 is the one where it died because Netflix ruined the entirety of Part 6 and made no hype and no memes for it. So, Part 5 has great memes. I'll take that. I love the torture dance. I love the scene where they just beat up a random dude because Naran-chan misunderstands the situation. Part 5, great in terms of memes. In terms of comedy, it's best. It's one of the best, but not the best. I'll spill another part, but...
Another part, really, I think Part 5 honestly peaks at comedy. It got me bounced out left.
It's honestly, it's not even my top 2. It's my 3rd.
For comedy?
Yes. Actually, it might not even. Is it probably my top 3? I'm sorry, but like going to the earlier part, just the later. You can't be Joseph pulling out a Tommy gun in the middle of a boxing, like in just a normal fight, and then throwing a grenade at a dude and him deflecting it, and then it's being attached to 12 other grenades, which doesn't even make sense. But it's just Joseph is that guy. Tequila Joestar.
Oh.
My secret technique. And just everything about part 2 is
Okay,
fun.
part 2, I almost forgot. So that is my favorite part of all time anyway.
Oh, well, there goes that. But like, yeah, no, in terms of comedy, I'm sorry, part 5 doesn't hit the peak. But to go back, part villain is great. You mentioned villain. I think Doppio and Diablo, great villains. Stan doesn't make sense, but neither does Jornos, so.
It's even,
by the end.
though, they were, in the beginning, the way the villain was introduced, I loved it.
Oh, yeah. You know,
like, who is he? And then also you have like another anti-hero kind of, the guy who does like the iron, who has like his
it's anti-hero, and he was actually, so I know you're up that.
Well, like,
Shadow.
It was him who found out who the villain was, and then it was through his death, and then through the amazing
characters found out.
Yeah.
A lot of characters found out. And what happened to them? Hey, Bruno.
Actually didn't really.
She wasn't supposed to, it feels like.
But she
felt like she was more of a task than she was
like a bargaining chip.
Even though, then, like, I'll be honest, I don't like how Trish was saying she wasn't a character, she was a tool for a reason for the characters to go after the boss. That's literally all she was, which I hate because I think she had potential to be a really good character. Her Stan was really cool.
She had a good motivation too. Like,
I'll say this:
under debt.
Stan fights were boring though. A lot of them were boring, especially in the second half.
I mean, there is still the notable one of like Jorno did like 5. I almost felt like 5 hours of one else.
No, the 8-page Buddha, yeah. 8-page Buddha. In the manga, it's literally just 9 pages of him just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why it takes like a whole minute in the anime.
Oh,
in the manga, they had to adapt it, and it's literally just him punching him for 8 or 9 pages, or 7. I don't remember. It's a lot.
I feel bad for the voice actor. He did that.
But the point is that a lot of the fights feel boring. Like the 7-page Buddha is the only thing that I remember really that's notable from the later, because
when it goes to creative, but Naraja carries for me.
Naraja has some of the great fights. Like he's the only one who has like decent fights in the second half with the all talking tongue and all that.
I like that, and that was when he got shrunk.
That was great. But like
he had
what did Mitchell do in the second half?
The train.
That was first half.
That was first half?
The second half is, in my opinion, when Fugo left.
Oh yeah.
Second half was just slow. There was Notorious B.I.G. That was a great fight. The playing. I'm sorry, part 5 just has some of the worst fights in it. Because at this point, when it comes, we are 3 parts in to stand.
So side down villains.
It felt like we have the part 3 at home. And the villains they were fighting, it's just like, oh, we're going after the boss, and now we need to fight his minions. But it just felt like handled way worse, which was part 3, which handled the best.
Overall, I really think part 5, great comedy, good chemistry with the character, villain wise,
and the ending is just kind of like
the ending was just massively bullcrap bullshit. Like, come on,
it's just
what? Like, what?
I'm not the biggest fan of the character gets a secret power up at the end. Just win. Granted, I don't always hate that trope. I just hate that again. I'm sorry. I'll just put it. Part 5 just feels like an off-brand part 3 or a worse version of part 3. Character reveals new power at the end of the stand.
You're right.
The villain is literally just we need to get to the boss and let's just fight things along the way. A lot of the MC or the main crew dies right before the final boss. Like it's just.
Oh, Polnareff saved it though. I like it.
Polnareff was great. I predicted his return. I called it.
France is yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like France and Polnareff is still alive and he's one of the only characters and I feel like he's gonna come back and do something.
And the fact that he has like beef against the main dude.
Yeah, so he turned season short now, but like.
But is he Turtle still in the new universe?
We don't know, but he was in the old universe before for the rest of his life. We don't even know if he's alive. He was a turtle. And then part 6 takes place 10 years later.
I'll be doing his own thing, I guess. Finding the murder of this.
Yeah, but my point is, part 5 just feels like a worse part 3 for me. And also, personally, I didn't like this, but I really dislike that they kind of just got rid of every old character. because it's built up that Jotaro is going to be involved or Koichi, and the fact that Giorno is literally the son of Dio and Jonathan's body fused together. I feel like there's so much. That's the
dialogue that they have with Jotaro.
And then Jotaro literally is like, "Oh, I'm trying to get in contact with this person, and Koichi, I need to send you because then otherwise he'll sense me." And then it's never addressed again after Koichi says, "Oh, he's good." You don't think Jotaro would be like, "I need to meet him," or literally Giorno saves Koichi's life. Koichi's like, "Okay, he's cool. Jotaro, don't worry about it." And Jotaro never is seen again in part 5.
You know, that actually brings it down a little bit, because we could have had a really good interaction with Giorno and Jotaro.
Jotaro could have shown up with Polnareff.
With the history that they had,
Polnareff, literally, they mentioned how they went hunting for the thing. And Polnareff is just like, "Oh yeah, this whole thing happened. Jotaro, I found a thing. And also, there's a boy here who reminds me of Dio," or something, like anything. Jotaro should have showed up at the final part. I stand by that. And because it had some, again, I'm not one to say like, "Oh, because this didn't happen the way I wanted to, I hate it." But I'm saying it's the fact that it was built up for Jotaro. I would have loved that.
See, I would love that.
And it felt like he was built up. And also, the fact that it's an entirely new cast when JoJo up to this point has always had at least one or two like previous characters flowing into the new story. Like part 1, part 2. Part 1 and part 2, Joseph is the grandson of Jonathan, and the reason why he's connected is because the people in Jonathan's life turned evil, and then it led to him, you know what I mean? Like all that. Part 2 to part 3, literally Joseph is a main character in part 3. I don't need to explain how that goes. Jotaro's in part 4, Jotaro's at the start of part 5, and then he just disappears. I like the new cast because they had to be likable, otherwise this would be the worst part. But the fact that Jotaro just kind of disappears, and there's no one, it rubs me the wrong way. And with that, means I have to give part 5 like a 6. I'm sorry,
with the potential that was leaning on our own doorsteps.
Dio's son, literally, they did nothing with it. The son of Dio.
You know what? 6. Yeah. No, I was gonna give it an 8 and over.
And then also, this doesn't ruin for me in part 6, but also the fact Giorno never showed up in part 6 when the sons of Dios were supposed to be like the whole thing.
It didn't even mention Giorno
in the manga. They did, and they mentioned on the cover of one of them. They're like, "Oh, the sons of Dios are what is it called in Florida? Blah 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 blah." And it said that Giorno might be in Florida too, but that's all we ever get. It said he might be in Florida investigating, but they never confirmed that he's there, and we never see him. So it's a whole thing. But
I guess you know what? I think fair rating 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Part 4. This was my favorite part for Lulz.
Honestly,
it's a slice of life. I'm sorry. What is it called? Homeboys going after David Bowie. Like, great. I love that. Like, it's me personally, I think Araki writing is peak with slice of life. He knows how to write slice of life. So tell me objectively, what is wrong with part 4 besides, what is it called? Besides it feeling a bit slow at the start.
Okay.
Once you meet Kira,
that's when
there's that, and there's one other thing, but I will not. Or there's 3 things, but like,
okay, what I didn't like about
tell me that.
Okay, the alien scene way to wait.
Oh, I love that.
I did.
Earth, Wind, and Fire is the thing.
I didn't know. I just didn't. I didn't connect with it.
I loved it because it was a slice of life. So it's be like, oh, just day to day. Oh, there's an alien. Keep in mind, this is the same part where we get introduced to ghosts. And we get introduced to ghost aliens, and it's on top of stamps already existing. For me, it just felt like if any part was going to introduce an alien.
Alien part 4.
Yeah, and also I love the mystery that you can't tell, is he a stand user or is he actually an alien? That's the joke. You're not, because even a rocket, like, I don't even know. Huh.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I think he's an interesting character because instead of just stands, and the fact that we also got introduced to Ghost this part, now we get introduced to aliens. Now we're questioning, are aliens real in JoJo? I love that because it makes you question.
It makes me question, but I don't know. With all questions, you like to have an answer sometimes.
Yeah, but I think this is one of those, like, it's better for interpretation instead of like a definitive answer, because it gives no one a right answer and nobody's wrong. But what else?
But when it comes to the alien part, but I'll give you that one.
What else do you not like?
The mom didn't do anything.
And what did she do in part 3? Oh yeah, she was dying the whole time.
She was a motivator.
What did she do in part 1? She was dead the whole time.
She was there. Lisa?
Part 1?
Oh, part 1. Oh.
Bro, died in part 2. Lisa was there and then didn't do much.
Training.
Yeah, but then she's supposed to be one of the strongest. And what fighting did she do? Ring, when he held her leg. That's all she did. And none. That's it.
No, she fought vampires.
And how'd that go for her?
Or being this mother, being the fact that she
kicked ass in the first episode. What more do you want? Some dude was hitting on her, ran by her. Wash. Said,
maybe
don't try that shit. She said, I ain't no Lisa. I ain't know you gonna look at me through a camera and be like, nice. Okay, also proceeds to tell Josuke his mom is hot.
She was.
But also, I mean, what was she supposed to do? She wasn't a stand user. What was she supposed to do?
But she couldn't see stand. She didn't do much with stand. But I like to come with this. Maybe she could possibly at least like try hunting for Joseph.
What? She literally, when Jotaro showed up, she hugged him.
Oh.
And was like, Joseph, I can't believe you're back. And it's like,
I'm not Joseph.
I'm Jotaro. Oh. Well. The point is, she had an obsession with Joseph, but like, and they purposely hid Joseph from her because they knew how she'd react. Like, I'm confused.
But maybe like seeing her like date other men so she could like get over Joseph.
She was never going to get over Joseph.
Joseph was that good.
Apparently, but the point is, I don't understand the debate of the mother. Like, if you're gonna say about like a mother not doing anything in any part 6 or part 5.
Right, we don't even know the mother is, do we?
They said that she contacted Jotaro to get her on bail, to try and get her out, and Jotaro went to go see because she knew she would get emotional or some shit.
Okay.
The point is, the mom in part 4, I forgot her name, but like, for all things considered, keep in mind, part 1 and 2, they could see the vampires. Those weren't sand. For a part where she can't see the main, like, enemies and all that, I think she was great. She showed up in Josuke's, like, home life, like, constantly kick him in the head for playing video games when he should be doing other stuff. Constantly, when she was attacked by Stan, he would, like, punch her and, like, make sure his mom was okay. Stuff like that. Like,
it felt like a pot then.
They could die in an episode and go, what do you want?
He could have done more when he was alive.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you need him to do? He literally told him, dude, don't mess with my daughter. Told Josuke, he went off on Josuke.
He could have done like one of those epic speeches like Spider-Man, like with great power comes great responsibility. Like, he could have left a legacy. Okay, fine. I'm nitpicking at this point. I personally...
Bro died in episode 2. Why didn't you make an impact like Uncle Ben? Because his name is not Uncle Ben. Fine, I'll fine to anybody.
Fine. I'll put my hands in the air as I don't care, or just like I don't care. Part 4 to me just didn't capture my attention,
and that's fine. Then I'm about to go after these things that like don't make sense.
Fine, I will. Fine. My only nitpick is that it just didn't capture my attention, and
I think Murder Mystery was great. So, Kira carried. I'll say
Kira carried. Yeah,
he carried, but like. He carried enough to me where I enjoyed the part. I think the characters is debatably this is the best characters. This or part 5. Well, no. It has, in terms of main cast, no. In terms of the whole part, it has the best characters.
Fine.
Because
no, but wait. What do you mean? Like, do we also? I mean, like, out of all the side characters, like
all the side and stand here, I think this is the best because at least all of them are relevant for at one point later on. They show up randomly. They come back. They're not just like, we defeated you, you're done.
Nah, I think part 2 has the best.
I couldn't even tell you half of them.
The German Nazi, the Joseph.
I'm saying
Caesar.
Okay, let me rephrase that. For a stand part, this has the best. Because part 3, they get rid of half of them. Part 5, you couldn't tell you any of them. Part 6, the jails, I know them all, but that's because I love part 6. But part 4, they're also, I love them all too because they come back. The only one who doesn't come back is the kid who tries to off himself when he fights Rohan, the rock paper scissors kid.
Oh my gosh,
he's the only one.
I forgot Rohan was in this part. Never mind. To me, it's higher.
Okay, cool. So overall, characters.
Yeah, then.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 personally. 8.5. I'll give it 8.5.
8.5?
Yeah.
8. Okay, 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. I think that's a fair one.
Part 3.
But the most
Best MCs.
Nah, the only way now, we want to start right through, guys, is the most notorious reason why JoJo was on the map.
Yeah. It's also repetitive, but
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
MCs.
Yeah.
Best MCs.
That's something.
Like, I'm going to sum this up real fast because part 3 is not a complicated part. Has the best main cast, right? With Joseph, Jotaro, Muhammad Abdul, Polnareff, Kakyoin, and Iggy. I think those great 6, right?
Yes.
Dio, great villain. He's been set up since part 1. This was his conclusion. Fine. Amazing, right?
Yes.
The first viewing, one of the best things you will ever see. Oh my god, Stan Pie. Whoa, this Stan's cool. Whoa, Stan can do this, blah, blah, blah. The second, any viewing after that, can we just cut to Dio? Like, the ending is great. The final fight, that whole arc, perfect. When they get to the castle, with starting from Pet Shop, in my opinion.
Start from the pet shop.
You remember Pet Shop?
Is it when Iggy went fought the eagle?
The name of the bird is a Pet Shop.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yes. So I think that till the end is great. That's a peak. JoJo, part of 3's peaks there.
Okay.
JoJo, honestly, is peaks at that point. Sorry, that's its peak.
Deal. Yeah. Okay. Actually, no. I correct on that one. It does. Okay, it has a really good high, but I say in there are more times where I think it just goes up, stays on a higher level, but it only peaks during certain moments. Like Kakyoin, his moment, peak. Dio, Jotaro, peak. Joseph.
I think that ending is just it doesn't go down at all. Like once Pet Shop starts, it just goes up all the way.
You don't really think the beginning part of like the gaming part, like when they got true,
It's fine.
Okay, what about when Muhammad Abdul got like?
Yeah, I was gonna say that right there is the only issue I have with part 3 as a whole, besides it being repetitive. Justice for Muhammad Abdul. I almost said Oda. Rocky did it completely dirty. It made his fake out death more impactful than his real death. And that was like a thing. Like we're saying in part 6, it's like, oh, the character's gonna come back. Psych, he's just not coming back. He's dead. In the most under dramatic, like we saw him die and got scared. Now we see him just, and we're supposed to feel something.
Again, I was just waiting for him to come back and say like, hey, Muhammad will come, supposed to save the day.
Yes,
and deny.
I am dead. I am dead.
Yeah, when I saw the cloud of him going flying with Iggy, I was like, oh, it's real.
I was like, really? This is how we're doing it?
Is he really dead?
When he saved Polnareff and Iggy, well, he delayed Iggy's death and saved Polnareff.
Wait, crazy theory. When I was watching it and I saw Joseph go in the cloud, I was like, no, Joseph's also dead. And when Joseph came back, I was like, Iggy, oh my god, there's a chance Abdul come back. And then the part ended and wrapped us at,
oh, well, their corpse has been laying there for a minute. Same with Kakyoin. By the way, I don't think anyone, this is just, so overall, I think what I was going to say is,
yes, villains, of course, the side villain,
honestly, a solid 8, a solid 9, honestly. Actually, no, because it gets repetitive on 3, I have to give it an 8. I can give it an 8 out of 10.
For introduction to stands, I loved it, but I still kind of, and also they did kind of keep Hormone a little bit.
No, they did it in one reference. Don't say they kept it. He literally used it once to defeat one enemy, and then also try to psych out Dio with it. And Dio was like, "Bro, this is not the right part for that. Keep moving." That's what it was.
Yeah, pretty much. So no. Hold up.
Okay.
Joseph, I debate this now. Joseph, he had the big brain. He was smart enough. Even though, yes, you're talking about the part where he wrapped himself up with Hormone and his whip. Yep. But that just made Dio scared.
No, that literally Dio was like, bro, wrong part. And they killed him.
Oh, when you throw the knife.
He literally said, you thought this was going to get me? Bro, you know what part this is? We got Stans. You got Hermit Purple. That's weak as fuck. Bye.
I forgot he did throw the knife, yeah.
But what is it? Also with so overall, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
So before we move on, I do also want to point out, I said justice for Muhammad Abdul, justice for Kakyoin, because I don't think people realize this. Nobody went back for his body. He was in the water tower, the fight continued, and they never went back to retrieve his body. It's revealed in a side, like, manga thing, but yeah, the police had to get his body. The police the next morning, when they woke up, and like, they're like, there's a body in the water tower, they had to, like, get him, and then they had to identify the body, and somehow was like, how did this Japanese kid end up in a water tower in Egypt. Like, it was a whole thing. So,
with a hole in his stomach.
yeah, I mean, Dunkin' Donuts, right? But part 2, anyway, moving past
Okay.
part 2.
Already previously said this. Best part, loved it.
Comedy-wise, best part.
Comedy
Easily best part.
Side character. I say all the whole character, the whole main cat. I love them.
I'm sorry.
It's Lisa,
Part 1 and
Nazi German.
Part 1 and 2, I don't like the side characters.
How
No. Main cast, fine. What do you consider main cast and side character? Because
Okay.
main cast, Joseph, Caesar, Lisa.
Okay.
I say Smokey counts,
Fine.
and the German soldier.
What about?
No. So, would you consider that's the main 5?
That's the main vibe.
Okay.
So now we end the cycle.
Oh, and homegirl, dude he marries, Holly, Susie Chu.
Yes.
All right.
You're right.
All right.
Well, I consider a side character mostly.
Okay, side character, that's fine. She's the one exception then as a side character. Now, let's talk about the actual side characters.
Okay. Black dude. He saved from the first episode.
Smokey, I said main cast.
Oh, right. Smokey. Oh, that's.
You want me to tell you 2 characters and you're literally it's gonna blow your mind because you're gonna remember these characters exist after you forgot?
So Smokey isn't the black.
You ready? 2 characters you forgot existed. I'm about to remind you.
Hit me.
Do you remember Lisa's 2 bodyguards? The 2 buff guys? Did you remember they existed?
During the training, yeah.
Did you remember them though?
One of them dying.
Honestly, I only remember one of them dying because only one of them was at the end at the funeral. I don't even remember how he died.
When the other one died to the pyramid men.
The pillar man?
The pillar man, yeah.
I don't even remember when or how he died. I just know he died to a pillar man, but I couldn't tell you what happened. For all I know, they shot him with an AK and then the 4-9 damage on it.
Okay, what about Speedwagon?
Didn't he die in like episode 3, part 2?
What? No, he got captured.
And then got killed?
No, he still made it to the end. He died of old age.
Oh, okay, well.
He got captured by a Nazi, then that's when he got girl Josie or.
And then what is it? What about Cactus Meat or Motorcycle Boot? Dan. I think his name was like Motorcycle Dan. Yeah, remember when Joseph first got to the thing and he did to kill Joestar? Right before that, he stole a motorcycle off some dude who was sent there to kill him.
Is it the guy where Joseph had to pull out the AK?
No, that was around he literally, you don't remember him because it was handled like in the anime. He tied him up to a cactus and left him there. And it was close.
Oh, that's where wow.
Steely Dan, is that his name? Something like that.
I genuinely didn't remember him.
Yeah, because part 2 has so many side characters and so many villains and antagonists, but the only ones that matter are the Pillarmen.
And also I still love it till this day. And then
the theme's great. Overall, part 2 is great. I think that's when people start to actually enjoy JoJo. Give it a side.
I really like the fights. I really like the fights, Joseph.
I'll get another.
With like the big brains.
Oh yeah. The ending is also
that was the most Deus Ex had a definition in
he should have died. I'm not mad because I like Joseph, but like you're not running a meteor back to Earth, you are dead. There's no
hormone ain't bring you back to life. You are dying.
So sir, I give it 8.8 or 8.5.
I'm biased 9, but also I think it has enough merits.
Too many side characters that like are forgettable. Too many forgettable side characters. And also the ending. It's great, but like how he defeats it makes sense. But him surviving, it was a great psych out though.
Fair. So 9 out of 10 for me. 9 out of 10. You 8 out of 10. So Divine 8.5.
Yeah.
Now for the
part 1,
worst part. Not gonna lie. Worst part,
I think it's just a victim of the anime space, like how it's.
I think that's only a victim of the fact that it's the first one.
Yeah.
So like,
Jonathan, great character. Honestly, we deserved more time with Jonathan. That's the issue. Jonathan was a great.
Every
MC.
time he spoke, I loved his speech.
Jonathan was a great MC. We just didn't get enough time with him.
You're right. You're right. He literally only was there for
9 episodes.
Yeah.
If he got a full 25 episode thing, great. And in the manga, I know he lasts like a lot longer. Like it's paced a lot slower, but a lot better. So you get more time with Jonathan to feel for his character.
But in the anime, they made it where part 1, part 2 were the same like season.
Yeah. So they had to just like, wrap it up.
And then part 2, they gave Joseph enough time.
Yeah. He gets more time in part 3 and 4.
You're right.
He literally gets enough time, which is why I wish they divided it more evenly.
And like part 1 has more,
like 12 in part, or 12, or even more. But like, hell, in part 1, he gets more time with Danny, the dog.
Oh,
he actually spends more time with him, so you feel a connection. So he doesn't, when he gets burned, you were like, no, not Danny. Guess what? It dies in the first episode, so you don't really make a connection. Overall, I think part 1 was just too rushed. Or like, they dragged out the parts that didn't need to be dragged out, and they sped up the parts where we needed more time with Jonathan.
Jonathan, I really wanted more from him. And George, of course, being,
George, shout outs to the best chip star. But yeah, no, overall,
Dio, though, we got Dio.
Dio's great.
We got Dio.
Great villain. Literally, he also, him and Jonathan here, the part, granted, no other character in the part mattered.
Speedwagon.
Speedwagons definitely are the only ones. Okay, they are great side characters. But what about all 3 homeboys who showed up right?
Oh, hell no. Nope. Nope, suicide.
Do you remember the kid Jonathan saved? Who became a main part cast? No, you don't.
Do you remember the 2 vampires?
I remember him. The kid, Jonathan. Remember the people he fought, the 2 guards?
Well, the 2 guards and 2 vampires.
2 guards who turned into vampires.
Oh.
And then he saved the kid, and then the kid was like, oh yeah, my sister's here, and then they said goodbye to Jonathan on his way out before he died. No, you don't. Do you remember the guy who saves Dio?
No.
Yeah, the gremlin dude who had Dio's head.
You're right.
Yeah. So many, again, the issue.
And then with the belts.
Part 1 and 2 is just too many characters that just feel unimportant because they are. But overall, if we got more time with Jonathan, I could rate it higher. I got to give it at least I'll give it maybe a 7 or 6.
I don't want to rate it low because it's a big thing, the fact that it started.
It's really good for what it is. So I give it a 7. And also, it's the most important part in terms of setup for everything else. So I have to give it a 7. Literally, Dio is still relevant by the end of part 6.
7.5.
I give it a 7. At the end of part 6, Dio is still relevant, and I've never seen a hater so much that he's literally relevant in part, even when he
the hater.
Part 1, he exists. Part 2, technically you can say homeboy at the start of part 2, who Joseph fights, he's like, oh yeah, after seeing the power of Dio, I decided to become a vampire too. So Dio technically still plays a part in part 2.
There.
Part 3, he's the main villain. Part 4, not really. The arrow, I guess, is the only thing. Part 5, it's his son. Part 6, it's his lover. So,
but lover, you could say evidence.
It's his lover. So overall, part 1 is very important, and I appreciate it for what it was. I just wish we had more time with the cast.
Agreed.
All right. So overall,
I think basically our highest ranking one would be part 2 and part 4.
Yeah, I think
part 2 and part 4 will be the highest ranking ones that we agreed upon.
Which I know for a fact is going to be debated a lot in the comments below, because that is some people. Part 4, I know, is a lot of people's least favorite. So it's mostly people who don't like slice of life, which I understand. If you don't like slice of life, you're going to hate part 4.
I mean, I can agree with that. I don't like slice of life, but also I can
appreciate part 4 for what it is.
I can appreciate, yeah.
Yeah, and also they gave us Ron, so peak. But with that,
I mean, literally Rohan, I'd love the Rohan. Have you watched the Rohan thing?
No, I don't spoil me. I'm literally planning to watch that as soon as I get home tonight.
Oh, then no spoilers here about that part. Just enjoy.
Yeah, I'm caught up on the manga. I have yet to read this book, Ron Kishibe, but I plan to.
There's already the one that redeems Netflix.
No, I will never forget what they did at part 6.
JoJo's put in a unique position where each season, each part, just brings something new to the table. It's not something like JJK where the story continues, and JJK Season 1, JJK Season 2, where it's still JJK. JoJo Part 1, JoJo Part 2 are 2 separate things. JoJo Part 2, Part 3 are 2 separate things.
And that's one thing I love about JoJo, that one part is somebody's favorite. And it's very rare that you meet someone with the exact same opinions about every part. So, like we said, let us know in the comments below, and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to colossal smash that like button. Thank you guys again. You guys have a nice one.